Today we talk about one of the books that I disagree with the most that I've ever read, and it's Edward Bernays' Propaganda. Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud and is oftentimes known as the father of public relations. Quite a checkered story with this guy. He is responsible for, basically getting the U.S. government to overthrow Guatemala and various other campaigns, but the book is interesting in the sense that it shows you the motivations behind what we refer to as propaganda or steering a narrative or creating some sort of discourse in a certain subsect of a group. But I think this book is very interesting to read, especially breaking yourself out of the paradigm of these sorts of ideas, breaking yourself out of the news cycle, breaking yourself out of these ideas that are capturing your mind and steering you in a certain direction. And the overall thesis of the book is that people don't think for themselves and people will not think the right things, so that we need to foster a sense of ideation in them. We need to teach them what to think. We need to tell them what sorts of beliefs to hold, and this is an essential function of a democracy. I completely disagree with this idea. I think it's really antithetical to any sort of actual democracy or any sort of actual exchange of ideas. And if you tell people what to think instead of how to think, then you devolve into more of a autocracy or more of a oligarchy and sorts of just ideas that I don't necessarily agree with. But Bernays is somewhat interesting in the fact that he's writing from this utilitarian argument. He's writing from this idea that you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, that there is just a certain necessity to steer public opinion, because if you don't steer it, then you can't control it, then you can't lead people. He quoted Disraeli, Benjamin Disraeli, the Prime Minister of the UK or England at the time, and basically he said that why should I listen to the people when I lead them? And this is a very weird idea to believe, but you kind of see this Machiavellian oligarchy side to it. And Bernays is somewhat arguing from the fact that I'm educated, and since I'm educated, I know better than everyone else. And this is a very elitist mindset you see in a lot of modern day groups and a lot of modern day thinking. And I don't necessarily agree with it. And, the whole time reading this book, I'm like, I get why he's making it, but it's just so weird to see someone say the quiet part out loud, because when you watch a piece of advertising, when you watch a political ad, when you watch, just at a bird's eye view, the things that are being said on TV or the things that are being said in political discourse, and see how manufactured it is, see how controlled it is, see how it kind of tests ideas and puts things out there, and then if it's a popular idea, then it's sprung upon. And it's really weird to see the backwards ideas of these things, the inner workings and the true root of what is being done. And I think you'll come out reading this book and have, I don't know if you would say an appreciation, but an understanding of what's going on, an understanding of why certain things are done in a certain way, why a crowd is steered in a certain direction, why certain political ideas or certain market ideas are pushed through this nonsense of you need to believe this, you need to believe this. This is the same reason why you see people citing studies in an average conversation. It's because they've been implanted with that idea. They've been told this idea. And one of the most interesting parts of this book is that Bernays said that if you want to influence people in mass, all you need to do is influence the group, because if you influence the group, then that group influences the groups that they're part of, and this is how a social contagion spreads. This is how an idea spreads. This is how an idea is, incepted into the brains of the psyche and incepted into the brains of the crowd. And, overall, I thought it was a interesting book. I disagreed with a lot of it. I saw where he was coming from. I saw the arguments, and not to say he didn't make strong arguments. It's just I don't tend to think in such a Machiavellian way, and I don't tend to think that guiding people without their knowledge, guiding people in a certain direction, and not telling them my beliefs or my agenda or what I'm trying to get from them in the outset. I don't think that's a fair way to go through life. I don't think that's a good way to go through life, and I think if you approach life in this way, then all you're destined to do is come up short. All you're destined to do is have a hollow existence. And it's overall just a fun thing to read. It's about 168 pages, depending on the edition you get. I enjoyed it. I thought it was creepy and wicked and far more insidious than Machiavelli's The Prince. But, yeah, definitely worthwhile to read if you're somebody that's interested in these sorts of ideas and interested in these sorts of crowd psychology or crowd manipulation, and you're kind of done with the bullshit that is the modern day media and the modern day mind control and that sorts of stuff. So, yeah, cool book. With that said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.